what I've noticed is when I spend time on TikTok, I love it and it feels good, but when I leave it, I have nothing to contribute to the world from it. Just looked at 1,000 different videos. There were so many videos that I can't even name one thing to contribute to society now after spending all that time. As opposed to taking a class, spending that same amount of hours, and then stepping away from it and being close to a well-knowledge, almost expert individual and understanding a specific thing that now I can go into a library and talk to people. I can go to events that are around that topic and hold my weight and have my perspective on that. And at the end of the day, what are you connecting your attention towards? And how is that affecting you when you're not being attentive to that? And so that's why I was talking about gratitude earlier, because I'm grateful for everything. I'm grateful for every experience. And so now I'm learning things from every person that I meet, everything that I see online, and I'm taking that with me and I'm being able to pollinate that, spread that to the world. And so it's a matter of learning and growing and putting yourself in a position where you can contribute and thus have society contribute back to you. Because you can be like many other people and you can just scroll through TikTok all day and have nothing to contribute to the world, but that you know some funny TikToks or some interesting TikToks, but that's it. Everyone knows that's not unique. That's not unique. The people that are unique now are the ones that are focusing on what makes them feel good and really zooming in on that, really immersing themselves in that. And then like a sponge, able to squeeze all of that information out to everyone around them. And now you've just helped 5 or 6 people understand something. And so now you have 5 or 6 people helping you understand something as well. And now you're becoming a very smart individual. You're able to open up doors that weren't open to you because of your new understandings. Let's start having our lives be more focused on collecting information and sharing information and not just collecting entertainment, because we're not able to share that entertainment back.
Entertainment. Dude, you're a fucking genius. That whole thing was so fire, man. JRapp, I'm so excited that you're here with me for basically a reboot of Level Up America, where it's going to be way more just free-flowing, as it should be, and more fun and pure curiosity, all about dialogue of like, let's see what generates from this conversation. Before we started recording, we were like, let's figure out how to generate what matters. And then we started talking about like, what matters? And so I actually think that you're one of the people that have thought about that more than anyone of certainly of your age, as a Gen Zer. And maybe I'll do a little quick recap of how we met. I met you through my work at Civics Unplugged, which I left in late summer. Obviously, my passion in belief in your generation has not died. Certainly, my belief in you has not. And JRapp is a really prolific thinker and content creator, orchestrator of proliferating interesting ideas. We talk about like, how do we change the world together, which that'll be a topic for another conversation in the future. But I really want to dive into JRapp's brain, like what matters, and how is JRapp actually generating what matters and helping other people see what matters. So we can start wherever. Welcome to Level Up America.
Oh man, thank you so much for having me. You sent me a great text the other day that was very heartwarming. Actually, someone else was holding my phone when you sent me these texts, and you were like, free yourself and then you can free everyone else. So free yourself, you can free the world. And started to realize that concept of actually being free is kind of scary. I haven't had the lines of being free like drawn out for me. What does that look like if I have nothing I'm doing for any reason but just for the purpose of being a free individual? And I'm trying to figure out what that looks like. I think that when we're born into the world, or when I was born in the world, my parents were super young and they were just trying to help me survive. And if you're built off of just trying to survive, you are not free. You are doing things out of survival, doing things out of greed so that you have something, so that you are surviving. And I was kind of inaugurated into the world with that way of thinking, as I think most people in America or around the world are. Parents are struggling. They struggle around you when you're very young. You're picking up on struggle. You're struggling. So freedom isn't in the picture. But as you get older, you start to realize that there's that inner voice inside your head, I guess, that you can start to train to create your own reality, create your own freedom. But what does that even look like? What does that conversation look like inside your head? What are the pillars of your own personal freedom that you want to stand by? It's something I'm working on every single day, so I'd love to get into it today. But firstly, I just want to thank you for really trying to help us all find freedom. And I love that you're trying to level up America, but also just level up the concept of being free, truly free of pain and needs that are unnecessary. So just kudos to you, my friend Gary.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so excited that you're here. I mean, one of the texts I sent you recently was that you're an angel, and I believe that. I think that you have a really amazing place on this earth. I mean, the work that you have done with autistic kids, if you want to talk about that, is just remarkable. I think it speaks so highly about who you are, and we can talk about other ambitious projects that you're working on, but why don't we start there?
Yeah, definitely. Working with kids that have autism or young adults that have autism has been something that I got. Someone just tossed it out to me like, hey, would you be interested in working at this school that does puppet shows for kids with autism? And I had no clue what I was walking into when I got invited to this Hasidic Jewish community center, basically. And there's all these people that don't look like me, that everyone's dressed up in their garb with their hair long on the side. And they have all these kids that are struggling, really, really struggling. They have hypersensitivity in some places, and they are unable to communicate properly. And I don't know where to even start with it. I kind of want to just first of all, I don't even know. But where would you like me to start with it? I guess, do you want me to enter the story of how I got into it, or more so what we've discovered?
Whatever feels right, bro.
Let's see. I get a call from my friend, Abby. She's this older lady. She runs a nonprofit called Adopt the Arts. And she basically tells me, hey, there's this family that's really struggling right now. They have a child with autism. He's a little bit older. He's gets out of control. Would you be interested in going and visiting them and helping them with this kid? And Abby has been a mentor of mine for a long time. She never, ever really asked me for anything besides just us having mutual guidance to each other. And so basically I go to the middle of this community, sends me this address. And here I am knocking on this door. It's Shabbat, so I don't even know what any of this is. I have no clue what the Jewish culture is, any of it. And so I'm knocking on the door, knocking on the windows. Is anyone home? And the guy answers. It's this dude, Reuven. He's this Hasidic Jewish man, long hair on the sides, top hat. Oh, you're here. Welcome. Todah, Todah. I don't know what he's saying. He's just saying all these things. And then you see his son, Noam, who he walks in. Noam's about 14 years old, but the size of someone my age, very big, strong kid. And I had been around kids with autism growing up, but I had never had the opportunity to be like, okay, here's your opportunity to help. And I didn't even know what that meant. But funny enough, before I had entered this scene of autism and kids with autism and how they live their life, I was studying the human condition and how that has evolved over time. So I looked at things like what were humans doing before technology, like literally the first versions of technology from like agriculture equipment and that type of stuff. What were we doing? So I had a lot of this stuff kind of backlogged in my head, not thinking that it was going to be very helpful. But I entered in this home environment, and these kids are doing things that are extremely annoying to the parents. And the parents get annoyed very quickly. The kids start freaking out because they can't communicate anything. So they'll take their clothes off, get naked, try to run outside. They, start breaking things and smashing things. And the parents are like, we don't know what to do. Like, how do we stop this from happening? There's a lot of kind of chaos going on here. And so I'm a lover of all things when it comes to human behavior, especially when it comes to body language. So what I did was I made myself very small in the environment. I would sit down on the ground, crisscross applesauce, always looking up to everyone, and having my energy, my inner self, just be very calm, because I know that we are a combination of the people that are around us. A lot of the times we're affected by our environment, and children with autism have a very high sensitivity. That means that they can feel if you're anxious, they feel that. Or if you're depressed, they feel that. And sometimes I think they think that they're the problem, and they can't communicate that they're sorry. They can't communicate that, I'm sorry, I'm giving you a hard time. So they just start lashing out too. And it creates this whole vortex of chaos. And what I really wanted to do is try to neutralize that and really understand what was going on, with this child and with these parents, and where the communication was not, clear for them. So the first thing we did is they sit down and we share a meal together, as people do. They give the child a huge bowl of food. It's got noodles in it. It's got potatoes in it. It's got a bunch of fruit in it, and it's got a bunch of lettuce in it. And it's basically just a huge bowl, and he's mixing it up and eating it. But he does this thing that the parents really don't like. He takes the fruit, puts it in his mouth, makes as much juice as possible, and then spits it back into his bowl. And he does that over and over and over again. And the parents are like, oh man, like, this is what we're trying to get him to stop doing. Like, we hate that he does this. Like, you have any ideas? And I use my backlog of understanding human experience, but before technology, because these kids don't even know what technology is. They don't really, they're in the analog. They're in this very primal state. And so what I told them, I said, imagine you have no tools, no understanding of any way to create a tool, and you're handed a bowl of lettuce and all this stuff and fruit. The smartest thing you could do if you don't have a tool is to put that fruit in your mouth and to spit all the juice out to create what? To create a salad dressing. And I could imagine that this is what people were doing in the primal times when they wanted to make a sweet salad. You don't have anything to create dressing. You just spit the fruit out into the bowl because it's going back in your mouth anyways. And so it's not that weird. And the second I explain this to the parents, the kid who doesn't make eye contact with people makes eye contact with me, and he's like, he feels like seen. Like, he's like, you get me. Like, you understand what I'm doing. I'm not like trying to make a mess here. Like, I'm just making this a better experience for me and making a little bit of flavor. And things like this kept happening. He would go outside. Oh wait, are you frozen? Did I lose you? Yeah, I think you're frozen. Or am I frozen? Oh, weird.
All right, you might notice that my background has completely changed because the Riverside completely pooped out, and honestly, Google servers are probably much better for this anyways. And I kind of like having a cool animated background. So maybe this is meant to be. So JRapp, you were just getting into your story about um, working with children with autism, and in particular, a story about juice in the mouth. Just feel free to continue it. I know you're on your train, but we can talk about something else as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think I kind of just want to maybe repackage it. The thing that I've really started to realize is like a issue when you're a young person, is the relationship between your parents, your mom and your dad, and you, and how that affects you. And 90% of families that have a child with autism in this community that I'm working in get divorced. And I think the kids take some subconscious or conscious, like feeling like that they're the reason why this is happening. This painful breakup is happening right before their eyes. And if you're a child with autism and you're unable to communicate verbally, you can barely control your muscles. Uh, it can be really hard if you understand that you're putting such a pain and a strain on your parents' life and on your parents' relationship. You saw them in love, you saw these beautiful moments, and now those things are starting to dwindle away. And you're seeing also they're very stressed about you.
Mhm.
And children with autism experience this very often, but I think just children in general are experiencing this a lot. Parents often put the blame of why the things are going bad on the kids. Subconsciously or consciously, they're doing that. Oh, if the kids weren't like this, or if the kids were better behaved, our relationship would be better. I'm not saying that parents say this directly, but it is something that is kind of felt by the children when this starts to happen. And it causes you a lot of pain, man. And these kids with autism, I feel for them because one, my parents got divorced when I was 13. Also, I was a part of my parents' marriage. They got married as a result of me being accidentally born on purpose, I guess. And then when they, ended up getting divorced, I started to feel like I was taking the blame on it. And so I started numbing myself, staying in my room a lot, these types of things. And being invited into this community that has a lot of children with autism has allowed me to connect with these kids on a much deeper level because I feel that pain of being just a young kid, not knowing what the world is, not knowing what life is, but knowing that you love your parents and your parents' love is dwindling away and you're somehow a part of that. We shouldn't put the blame on the kids, but that happens. And these kids feel so much pain for it. And if you can't communicate that you're in pain and you're sorry, you just do things that are painful. You hit, you grab, you do whatever you can because you can't communicate with your voice that you're hurting and that you're hurting others. So you just keep doing it to try to get your point across. And it really tears me up a lot to like step into these rooms and see these parents on this brink of divorce and these kids on this like brink of just helplessness. And it's been a great treat for me to join this because we've learned how to better communicate with these kids in a really fun way. We use puppets. So the guy who founded this company, or not this company, this nonprofit school called Azamra, which means to sing in Hebrew, is focused on using puppets and gratitude to fix families and to fix the family environment. What we found is gratitude is the best medicine when you feel like things are out of control and out of your hands. And what the Jewish religion believes is everything is given to us by God. Every experience is given to us by, uh, you know, God, the creator of the world, the creator of the universe, provides experiences. And no matter what that experience is, having gratitude for it is going to give you the best outcome than you being anxious about it, you being, kind of just fighting or whatever it may be. All these different things that people do instead of being grateful end up just echoing around in the house, and everyone just gets, really irritated. And that we found that gratitude is that great neutralizer. And it's done some magic, man. Like it really does some magic for the kids when you sit there and you're just being grateful. I'm grateful for this child. I'm grateful for this family. I'm grateful for this mom and this dad that they were able to meet each other and to create such a beautiful being. And I'm grateful that, he has challenges and that these challenges also equate to amazing lessons. And we focus on the gratitude and you see the energy of the child completely switch and change when you are carrying gratitude in your chest and not depression or anxiety or whatever. And we've been teaching parents how to do this, and we give them a package where it's like, here's a bunch of puppets, here's a bunch of puppet shows. And the puppet shows, I was super into like Sesame Street growing up. I've learned that puppets are the best way to effectively communicate to someone because it is a beautiful, colorful looking thing that is so just cute and it can say whatever it wants to say, and it really gravitates towards you and you listen to it as opposed to one person, a human being trying to tell you these really amazing things. You've been hurt by humans before. Humans have been mean to you, depressed to you, anxious to you, done things that have contributed uncomfort to you. And something about these puppets has really allowed us to create a storytelling experience that focuses on gratitude. So these kids that have autism, we all have our problems and our issues. The puppet of the giraffe, he has a really long neck, so he feels like he is super insecure about how long his neck is. No one else has a long neck like me. Why do I have to have a long neck? Or the zebra, no one else has white and black stripes. I look like weird, and everyone else looks beautiful and colorful. You know. And then what we do is we teach gratitude through the lens of the animals. So say the giraffe is feeling insecure about his long neck. The elephant comes up to him and says, "No, we love your long neck. First of all, it allows you to get the highest apples at the top of the tree, which none of us can get without you. So we love your long neck. And also you have the biggest heart out of any mammal in the entire ecosystem because of how beautiful your view is and your viewpoint. You're such a strong lover." And that's actually true. Giraffes have the largest heart out of any mammal. because they have to pump so much blood up their neck. We have this other bit where it's the bald eagle. He always flies really, really high up in the air because he's insecure because he's bald. And everyone else has hair and all these different things, but the bald eagle's bald, so he's all insecure. And he goes to his friend the lion and he's like, "I'm really insecure about my baldness." And the guy's like, "No, we think you're so cool. You fly so high up in the sky and tell us what's going on up there, and you connect closest to God and all these different things. And then, so we never think anything bad about you. We're actually grateful for you, Mr. Bald Eagle." And so in the story, he decides he's going to become a barber and he starts giving haircuts to all the other animals and like uses his uh, disadvantage that he sees as actually his strength. And so that's what the gratitude is all about is, these kids with autism, you're just like a bald eagle, we don't see that you have autism as a bad thing. We're grateful for you. We're grateful for your ability to bring us closer together around you and around your experience and to allow us to understand our own selves and our own ways that we're struggling and to be grateful for those things. So these kids are actually master teachers of gratitude. That's how we see it. And, just flipping that script and creating a more loving and warm story around your child, I think starts to echo effect into your family and makes the family a lot closer. So it's been cool, man. Like being able to go into families that are literally on the brink of divorce, like an inch away from about to divorce. And we come in with our instruments, our puppets, our gratitude based learning, our amazing creativity, our storytelling through the lens of animals. And we're able to excite the kids, get them really into it, and also help the parents have a new strategy of coping when things are hard for them. Put that gratitude switch on. As soon as things get hard, go sit in your room for 5 minutes and just be grateful and then approach the situation instead of, "Ooh, things are hard. I'm just going to make it harder for everyone." Because these kids, don't have control. And also they're young and learning about life. And it's your duty as a parent to show them what is the best action when things are hard. And gratitude has been that first key ingredient, I think, to living a happier and healthier life outside of depression and anxiety.
Dude, brilliant. Oh, just so inspiring to hear. Just doing the hard thing, like, being really grateful, rewriting the story about the situation. I mean, these are just universal lessons for any family, any collective of human beings that is struggling, and we're all struggling. This is a super time, like universal struggling time. So I think that story and more importantly, what you're doing is just so important and universal. I mean, especially because you're working with kids that can't speak. It's not about like something that's happening to a particular country that speaks a certain language, a certain culture. This goes deep.
Super deep. It's been the best lesson ever. These kids are so special, and I got to travel to so many different places trying to do this, and it's worked. And it's like the best feeling ever because for me, like I said, my parents got divorced when I was 13 years old. So I know what it feels like to feel like you played a part in such a terrible thing happening. Because when your parents split up and your mom moves away from your dad and you don't have a home anymore and you're a kid and you're going back and forth from this home to that home and you have to carry all your stuff with you, you kind of feel like you're homeless in a way because you're kind of just, bouncing around from house to house with half of the love you're supposed to be receiving from the mother and the father being given to you each moment. And, we want to try to negate that. And I mean, gratitude is the best medicine. And the story of the guy that started this school, I mean, he's struggled with his life and his marriage, and he literally had a kid with autism. And at 4 or 5 years old, he ran away from his family, went to Israel when they were in Los Angeles for 4 or 5 years. The mom was pissed. You just ditched us. It was so hard for you that you just ditched us. So now I have to watch both of our children, one with autism and one that's just growing up, like, and so he gets a call from his rabbi and he's like, "Hey, Noam's turning 10. You should come back and just see him." And he comes back to LA to see his family and he realizes what he had done. I had left my family. I left the people that I had helped create. I left my wife that I love, and I need to fix this. And so he actually built this curriculum with the help of myself and a few other people where we try to help this not happen more, where parents want to leave each other, they just need a break from their children. There has to be another way. If you're deciding to have a child, you're making a commitment, a lifelong commitment to this being that you're making, that you are going to show them the way. You're going to show them what is the way to live a happy, healthy, loving life. And what does that look like in your mind? What are the types of verbal signals you're giving consistently to this child to help them unlock that consistent gratitude, that consistent love? And if you're not, if you don't have that deeply rooted in yourself, then you need to start learning how to deeply root that in yourself.
Mm.
And they're gonna pick up on it, and it's gonna make their life better. And so, like, it's been quite a journey being able to build this, and we're starting like all sorts of like new classes. We have a thing called the Gratitude Garage where we're having kids come in and they have problems, and the puppets give them stories that align with their problem to teach them gratitude. We have our gratitude garden where you can come and learn like how to be grateful for plants and for soil and for dirt. We have our GPS, the gratitude puppet shows, showing you how to get to
UPS.
gratitude, which is great. Just doing all these things, and we're kind of like it's fun. It's like a traveling circus or something. We're pulling up with all these puppets. Reuven is the number one puppet collector in Los Angeles. He has like 200, 300 different puppets of all different shapes and sizes of different animals. So it's really fun to be able to use these things. At first, it was kind of awkward. Like, okay, I'm putting my hand inside of this giraffe, and like now I have to be the giraffe and be myself, and like not see that as weird. But it's now gotten to a point where I can just be Mr. Giraffe. Hey, how's it going? And then like be Mr. Elephant. And then we have all sorts of kids with autism come through. Some of them that are verbal, so we'll actually work with them directly. Where some of them might be into video production or making movies. So we'll make movies that are based on gratitude with a camera and everything, and they're the directors. And there's so much cool things that you can do to teach and root gratitude into your daily life, because it
Wow.
really helps you get through it a little bit easier.
Wow. Gratitude. I love that. I'm writing that down. I'm going to do some reflection on gratitude itself. I think that's so powerful. I think, I mean, a lack of gratitude is the death of relationships, death of families, death of organizations that have really talented, awesome people that just it's like insidious. Like, you just, gratitude or status quo shifts into like a downward spiral where everyone's blaming, no, it's your fault. Oh, well, you didn't tell me to do this, and so I didn't do it. Blah, blah, blah. Shirking responsibility. Like gratitude seems like it's essential to everyone collectively taking responsibility for the situation.
Big time. Yeah, we all need that one, feeling that we're all choosing to focus on. So if we're going to focus on gratitude, that's great. Focusing on love, all those things are great. Gratitude is just like so great because you can be grateful for every little thing that you go through. Even when
Right.
I go through the hardest thing, I was going through a breakup with a girl that I was super in love with. And, I could either be really sad, like, oh, how could I have messed this relationship up? This is so terrible. I love this person so much and I messed this relationship up. But I had taken these gratitude classes. So I'm just like, I'm grateful for this. I don't know what the creator of the universe or the creator of me is doing with this, but I know that I just need to stick with my gratitude. This is happening for a reason, and I believe, and I am so grateful that this is happening. And it actually allowed me to develop faster and grow faster and learn from my lessons faster, because I like to see each moment as I like to personify each moment. And so each moment I get to choose, okay, this moment I'm either gonna belittle it, I'm gonna see it as nothing, I'm gonna see it as a piece of crap, or I'm gonna be grateful for it. Just as like when you're walking down the street and you pass someone, you just see them as nothing. You're just gonna numb yourself and see them as nothing. You're gonna be, oh, good morning, grateful like to be in your presence for this
Mhm.
5 seconds. And those little like practices really help you like exercise your gratitude muscle. And when that thing gets strong, I mean, nothing can bring you down. A disaster can happen, yet you still see gratitude through it all. And it's just like, it's that light in that dark tunnel that we really need to grab onto just for our own sake. If you want to live a happier and healthier life, adopting gratitude and dropping fear is like the number one thing that you could do as far as I'm
Mm,
concerned based on going through this.
love that. This is why I say JRapp, Johnny Rapp, Jesus reincarnated. I'm s-
Yeah, that's
Yo, so um speaking of Jesus, have you been wronged in life, and have you found a way to be grateful for that and still love your enemies, as you know the ancient wisdom talks about?
I think that I used to, whenever someone would do me wrong, I'd get so mad and so upset, but I realized like hate or feelings of just negativity towards anyone doesn't do anything to that person in a negative way. It only affects me. It alters my chemistry in a negative way and gives me a negative outlook on life, gives me a negative experience, gives me a negative filter in my soul that feels worse than gratitude. And so now, like, I rarely get into moments where someone has done me wrong, or I don't even see it as wrong. I'm always like, there's silver lining in everything that happens. And that's just how I choose to deal with it, because at the end of the day, I want to live a happy and healthy life. And me holding grudges or hate, or I'm never going to be around that person again, and thinking about that even consciously, that is affecting me negatively. That is not hurting this other person. I like to talk to people that have gone through like a lot of childhood trauma, and they're like, "I'm so upset at my mom and my dad for leaving my mom," and all these different things, and, they're 24, 25 years old, still having this same thought that they've been having since they were 3 or 4 years old, and I'm like, "Do you think you having this negative thought is helping to change those people? How is these actions, what does that affect?" And that effect is just you feeling bad all day. You hating yourself, hating your family, all these different things, and it's not affecting the people that actually have hurt you. So for you to actually want to be free and to establish your own true freedom is for you to say, "I choose to look at all my situations in a way that is good for my health." So gratitude, I'm grateful that that happened. I'm grateful that I had a hard childhood growing up and my parents got divorced, because it made me stronger. It made me realize that I can only be dependent on myself when it comes to love, when it comes to gratitude, when it comes to peace. It all starts in my heart. Doesn't start in my mom's heart, doesn't start in my dad's heart. It starts in me. I'm going to start taking responsibility for how I feel. And that's just how I've started to approach it. Whenever I get into situations, if there's anything that's seen as off, it's always me. It's always something I'm responsible for, and I choose how I alchemize that situation in a positive way and not a negative way, because I want to live a longer, healthier, and happier life, not one filled with like just disgust of one human being. And that's my whole experience on life. Like that's too small minded. It's too hindsighted to look at it that way. So I just, I love myself, so I don't think hateful thoughts towards others, I guess. It's kind of selfish of me.
Ooh, that's powerful, man. You know what I was thinking about was like everyone, because of like Spider-Man and stuff, as knows that like power and responsibility are two sides of the same coin. What I'm realizing through you is that it is a three-sided coin, or whatever you want to call it. Um, freedom, power, and responsibility. You took a responsibility, you have power, and you have freedom. I bet you feel much better when you take responsibility.
Mhm. It's a beautiful thing, man. It's not something that I'm trying to be like preachy about and like, oh, this is how you have to see the world and this is how you have to take hard experiences. I just genuinely want to live a healthier, happier life. I'm a selfish individual. And to be the most selfish person, you want to live a healthy, happy, long life where you have many friends and a great experience every moment. So if you really want to be selfish, the most selfish thing you could do is actually love everyone, love yourself, love every
Mm,
moment, even the people
mm,
that do you wrong, because that's going to give you a better
mm,
experience throughout your day. And that's what I want for everyone. That's what I want for myself. Every day I want to
mm.
wake up and I want to feel good. I want to
Mm.
go to bed and I want to feel good. I want to wake up again and feel good. And if there's things that are hindering that, how can I uh experience that, let that go, and then establish a blossoming garden of gratitude and love and all these amazing things that actually contribute to my experience and not take from it.
Be selfish, y'all, but in a way that actually makes sense, right? That is actually in accordance to human flourishing for yourself and others. because we get so much joy when we help other people. So it's like, the thing that people need to understand is that the regenerative civilization that is not that far away, maybe it's like a few decades, but like it's not that far away for us to have truly win-win situation where we are all free and plants and animals are flourishing as well. And we look back at this time of like universal suffering and we're like, wow, we transmuted that into universal flourishing.
Yes, sir. That's what we want. I want that for everyone. I want you all to wake up and feel happy. There's not one person in this world I don't want to wake up and not be happy. And if you are in a hard situation, let's figure out how to fix it on the inside. Same thing that you shared with me, Gary. You want to free the world? First, you got to free yourself. And what does that freedom look like? Because I wasn't born into a family that really taught me freedom. And so I had to start teaching myself freedom. I had to reparent myself. And when I say reparent myself, there's that little voice in my head. Some people call it your ego, or just that little like talk that's going on in your head. And I've actually realized some people don't have this, but I have this little voice in my head and I want it to be as positive as possible. So I've been studying vocabulary that actually gives you gratitude and gives you loving thoughts, because I was having thoughts that were just small little thoughts, but they were actually trailblazing and making a bigger problem in my life. Me wishing this was better, or this was better, or this was like this, and all these different things. And then that spirals into my whole life feeling like I wish my life was better, which is a terrible place to be. That is the anti-gratitude there, wishing that things were better. Like, no, I'm grateful for how it is, and I want it to blossom and grow from there. And, it's something, it's a hard concept for me, or was a hard concept for me to grasp. Like, oh, like I could actually be like free in my own mind and choose how I want to think. And I can choose things that make me feel good on the inside, always at all times. And no one can stop me. What a powerful thing to do. What a sovereign, amazing thing that's going to help me attract other people that see the same thing. And we can collaborate and build and create or just chill out and relax and have a good time, but see the good and minute little details that are happening around us instead of look at all the different problems that are picking away. And that's why I stay away from a lot of like traditional media and all this stuff, because it's very look at how wrong this is, look at how wrong this is, look how good this is and how bad this is. It's like, I don't want to live like that. I don't want to see the world that way. I don't want to walk by a person and be like, bad person, good person, bad person. Like, I just want to go through life and say, I'm grateful for the experience of every moment, and I'm a fan of life. I think a lot of people need to wake up and say, I'm a fan of life. I'm a fan of life. And a lot of people are fans of God. In my experience, God is life. Life, whatever the heck this magical experience of like energy that's going on in our bodies and in everyone else's bodies, I'm a fan of that. And I'm grateful for that. And I want to study that. I want to experience that from all different corners, from all different perspectives, from all different ages. And I want to be a reflection of that in as many ways as I can. And it happens and starts with gratitude. I can be 100% confident with that. Might sound cliche, whatever. Try it. Try it for 30 days. Do a gratitude 30-day challenge where I'm just going to sit every morning for the first 5 minutes and just name off everything I'm grateful for. And every moment as I go throughout the day, I'm going to try to pick out things I'm grateful for. It might be a color. It might be a shape. It might be a person. It might be a piano. It might, whatever you're walking by, just like harvest that gratitude, grow, grow, grow. There's an abundance of it that isn't being taken advantage of anymore. Everyone's taking advantage of anxiety and fear. Where's the gratitude in this world? We need that back. Let's bring it back. Let's be fans of life again. And let's then see it flourish from that viewpoint.
Wow. Love that. You're very poetic with your words. I appreciate that.
Trying to get better. I grew up on Twitter, so I'm a Mr. 120 characters. I learned how to be quick and witty with my sometimes.
A lot of alliteration. It's beautiful. I read this somewhere. I'm paraphrasing it. But memes are seeds of the future. You need to propagandize yourself. That's what you were talking about. You planted the seeds for your future. When you use the right words to describe yourself, you tell the right stories about yourself, you are planting seeds for your own future. And then as you start to have your own self flourish like a plant. Wow, this is a groundbreaking conversation because I'm real. So, Johnny, I think you know that I don't have mind's eye or a inner monologue. And so, like, I'm very abstract without thinking about things. And like, I'm always trying to connect my, like, I don't want to say it's 4D, but whatever, 4D thinking to 3D reality so people can see the metaphors. And I'm realizing, like, we're all basically like trees in a forest. And like, if we're dying, like, because of our soil around us, like we're probably helping other people die, right? But when we're flourishing, we're covering little animals around us. And, you know, it's like once you get good at telling your own story to yourself, not because, oh, I'm a TikToker, I'm so cool. Like that's my story broadcasting to the world. Shoot, and that's the wrong kind of selfish. But like if you have a story for yourself that's positive, you're turning into a abundant, flourishing tree. Like you have the opportunity and maybe the responsibility to help others find that right story for them. And then just proliferate good stories, good, right? Godly, holy, like life, life affirming, right? We don't have to use the word God, like life affirming stories that can lead to the abundant, flourishing forest of human civilization. That, and that's a great metaphor because our human civilization should be indistinguishable from flourishing nature.
Yeah, it literally is. Yeah, I love what you're talking about the trees, man. You think about the family tree and how you became who you are. And then you know how trees actually are very supportive of each other. So like if you look at your background there, you know, that tree on the right actually has some sort of root that's connected to that tree over there. And let's say that one gets sick. This one says, "Oh, I have so many nutrients over here that I can actually pass you some. Oh, you just help flourish." But if it's like, "Ooh, this one's sick and I'm sick, I'm gonna send all my sickness over here, make that one die," and then it can also collapse and fall like that. But nature, I think, is very much into connecting and providing to each other in a beautiful way. And uh, it's really cool if you look at how the Earth has formed and all mycelium networks and those little, you know, veins that are all feeding each other and growing with each other. It's like we all have that, and you're completely right. We're like trees, man. We stand tall and proud if we like, and we can pass on any information and wisdom that we've learned to our surrounding area. And let's stick with that, you know. Let's keep that good times going.
Love that. Dude, I have to say, you have really gotten me re excited about doing this podcast. Also, because like I had this like insecurity, I'll say this publicly, that like my background like had to be like a studio background. And like I'm realizing like the thing that people actually want to watch is authentic people dialoguing about what matters to them. That's all they want. They don't care about random, like what you can't see right now, like posters in the background and like, plants. Like, I mean, of course, the background should just like accentuate what you're saying. But even if I didn't have this cool animated background either, like I should still do it right, for the purpose of having these authentic kind of like generative dialogues where I don't know where it's going, but it's like we are both two people, and everyone I bring on, and I want to bring you on as recurring like dialogue partner, but like everyone I bring on needs to have like, and I need to think about that. What is the criteria? It needs to be people that are like, yes, they can speak well about something, but it's because but they've learned how to speak well, not because they wanna be like they're, like, dying to be a public figure pundit. It's because they know that communication matters, right? And so it's like, you wanna do a lot of good in the world, and then it's like you also people that know how to speak articulately, people that actually wanna do good in the world, it's like, I wanna find those people.
It feels like in America, or and from my point of view, when I go back home or I'm in like the South or whatever, like there's not a lot of insightful rapport to tap into, like really magical rapport between friends. And so that's why podcast has really picked up since the pandemic, because it's like you don't really talk to your family or talk to your friends about anything besides, you know, the stuff that you're into, like sports or, you know, whatever. But to be able to go on a podcast and listen to two people that are, professionals at what they do, but also friends. Yeah, it's like you get to listen in on a friendly conversation with a lot of beautiful entertainment and education in between. And I don't know, we're just missing that. We were missing that in the physical realm a lot, and so that's why podcasts have really people have gravitated towards that because like I want to listen to people have a great conversation about some cool stuff and walk away feeling smarter.
Absolutely.
That's a cool experience to have instead of listening to music, the same music you've been listening to, put on a podcast of two
Yeah.
smart people having a friendly conversation. You're gonna pick up so much crazy ways of thinking and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, it's a cool time to start a podcast, man. You got your own news network. Let's level up America, baby.
Dude, I'm gonna and I would love to do this with you or something in the future. Um, I have like the domain RGN, and it's like intentionally like sniping at CNN, where it's not like bad person. This is bad. This is bad. You should focus on this one issue and don't focus on yourself at all. Focus on this one issue that you have no power over, and you're just giving us advertiser dollars. Like, no, RGN, regenerative global network, regen. It literally sounds like regen. We'll figure it out. Like, and maybe it's whatever people want it to be, right? It's like maybe there's no official acronym. It's
I like it.
all right. So back to stories. You basically made your career um, proliferating shareable stories, right? Through memes, like often in the form of like captioned images, but also more than just that, different kinds of multimedia. Can you talk about like your journey mm, just throughout your career, and also like just feel free to share whatever you want to talk about what you learned along the way.
Yeah, most definitely. The the meme space was like perfect for me. I didn't even know that I was gonna be a memer. I was born this way, I guess. Like I was always on the computer growing up, obsessed with everything. I was using Gmail chat at like 7, 8 years old, talking to my friends. I was playing all sorts of video games, super into technology. It was like my escape that I didn't need. I loved going outside and all that stuff as well, jumping on the trampoline, exploring, breaking things with rocks, all sorts of stuff, riding horses. Um, the thing that happened to me that really pushed me into doing it obsessively, I guess, which turned into your profession. I think a profession is just an obsession turned, valuable. Uh, but basically, I was 13 years old. My parents had decided that they were getting divorced. My mom had decided she was moving kind of far away to be with this new guy. And my dad had gotten into a new relationship as well. So my parents were both split and looking to build their own lives while I was still trying to figure out what my life was. And this is really tough for me. And what really helped me a lot to calm a lot of my insecurities was to go online and to take my psychology and place it on Twitter specifically. I don't know why I was drawn to Twitter. I had people introduce it to me. I loved it. This was back in 2011, so we're looking at what 12 years ago now. And at the time, I was a very insecure small kid. I was probably like 4'10", 75 pounds, eighth grade, just a really small kid. And but very funny. My wit and my outgoingness was like propelling me to feel big and to feel connected with my classmates in a way that was just beyond the physical level. And so hopping onto Twitter, I realized, okay, my insecurities, I don't want to put my face out there because I'm insecure, but I have things to say and I have a lot to say. So I want to share, my perspective with the world. So what I did is I created what we now call a meme page, a page that is just for memes. And I started off just like figuring out how I could growth hack them, figure out how I could like make them be as big as possible, as fast as possible by posting the best content while also engaging with the right people, and just doing that obsessively. Literally, I had a little iPod Touch. I was on that 24/7 as much as I could, especially if I was at home. I was so sad with my home environment. I would go on Twitter post memes, post memes, post memes, just to try to get some likes, try to get some retweets, to try to fill my sense of importance in the world because I felt so unimportant after my parents had split. And I had kind of been in the right place, the right time, and took off. Like my pages started growing really fast. I was obsessed with doing it. So like I was posting probably 40 to 50 times a day, posting funny things I could find from all over the internet, memifying them, recreating them to make them a little bit funnier. And I would study the data and the analytics of it. Like, ooh, I posted this one and 10 people liked it. But when I post this one, 200 people like it. Like, let's find more in that vein of the 200 people one. Um, got super obsessed with that to a point where I have millions of followers under all these fake aliases, running like a Will Ferrell parody account called Phil Werrell, which had like 2 million followers, running this account called College Student, which was just like memeing the college life, even though I was in high school at the time. I had at Nutella, which was like a common white girl page. I had like at Crib, where I was posting houses, at Car. I was posting a bunch of cool cars. And I figured out how to just kind of arbitrage the system where I could gain a bunch of followers, gain a bunch of impressions, and I could turn that into a business. So I'm doing this from like 13 to 18 years old in my high school career. I'm either doing really bad at school or I'm online making all of these really cool pages exist. And it taught me a lot about just I think the human culture online, because I had dabbled in pretty much all of them and had seen other people's perspectives on everything, seeing people's perspectives on humor, humor for women, humor for men, humor for kids in college, humor for car lovers, humor for, interior design. Like there was all these different ways that you could kind of attach this new thing called memes into every space. I then started to realize like, wow, there's actually other people just like me. So that's when I started to find a friend group of people that were doing the same thing as me. They had their own pages, and one of my buddies, he had like ya boy Bill Nye. It was like the biggest Bill Nye parody page, or like there's all sorts of guys dropping all sorts of different types of meme page concepts. And I didn't think much of it, to be honest. It was just like it was kind of a weird time. What I realized, sorry for the fireman, but what I realized is like I was making money so fast online, so easily with my thumbs, that I didn't. My relationship with money was so weird. Like I could make $100 a day with my thumbs doing very minimal work. So I would just spend that money like on it would just as much as it would appear to disappear, because it's just like I'm getting it so easily. I'm just gonna spend it so easily. Like there's just an infinite amount of money when it comes to memes. I guess that's what I saw it as. And I think I had all of these like psychological issues kind of develop, because I'm not kidding, man. From like 13 to 18 years old, which is they say is like a prime time when your brain is developing, I'm spending 24/7 pretty much on Twitter. If I'm awake, I'm on Twitter. I'm not looking at the grass. I'm not putting my feet in nature. I'm not doing all these things. I'm online. This affects your psychology. This affects how you see yourself and you see the world when you're playing this game of post this, see how many numbers it gets, make money. It does something psychologically to you that I still can't really describe, but I'm getting down to the bottom of it, because this topic of cyber psychology is something that I think is getting too overlooked right now. It needs to be more of a highlight. How is kids from the ages of 7 years old all the way to 25 years old, when your brain stops developing, how is our connection to this infinite information database called the internet affecting our internal experience and the way that we see everything external of us? And I mean, it really does affect us, and we don't know what that is yet. And cyber psychology has allowed for me to have the true backing of scholars and people at big colleges and all sorts of stuff that are seeing the same problem, and like, hey, like, how is the internet affecting our psychology? Anxiety is spiking, depression is spiking. Is the internet have something to do with this? Yeah, duh. It has something huge to do with it, but what is it? And also, I want to say, like, rewind just 100 years ago, a little sliver of time. what was life like back then? Because here I am at 13 years old, making all this money online, literally with my thumbs. 100 years before then, that didn't even exist. You had to make money working, running around, not using your thumbs, using your legs and your whole body, and not really using your mind, but just creating things and making things and all this stuff. And now you can do it so easily with the palm of your hand, and you can create revenue out of it. But it's something I'd love to dive in deeper with you, because I know as you're trying to help people discover freedom, I really do believe that the personal computer can create personal freedom, just as Timothy Leary like outlined it back in like the early 90s. But also, it can create a personal jail. It can create a personal torture chamber if you are not using it properly. And I've been someone that, like, I think I did a lot to contribute to the popularity of social media, but then also that means I'm contributing to anxiety and depression and a lot of pain by doing that. And I also experience that within myself, you know? And so it's something to kind of dive deeper into. But basically, I want to figure out why we spend so much time online at a young age and how that affects us, and what can we do to get the most out of it.
I would guess that Mark Zuckerberg and the ByteDance CEO know more about what it's doing to us than anyone. And what are they doing about it? I know that there's like incremental rollouts on both platforms for more possibility of restricting like screen time if you're a parent and stuff like that. But like I was reading something the other day, and the problem with these like almost symbolic improvements is that the business model is to hijack your mind. You make a Let's say you make $1 billion by having no restraints. You're gonna make $0.8 billion if you have some restraints. Mm, you're gonna have a lot of resistance, especially I mean to convince your shareholders, etc., to make a product that's like good for humanity. And that's also besides the point, because we're missing the point that like we are we're we're lacking a culture that is that is more broadly aware of what we should be doing instead of social media altogether. Social media is a powerful tool. You would know that's better than anyone. Like, um, I know I don't know if you want to talk about your work with Sadhguru, but like if you have important wisdom insights to share, um, there's no better way to proliferate that with social media. But like the vast majority of people, they're pawns to a business model. And plus, if citizens of other countries are directly part of a country that is an adversary to the country that your country is based on, there's some weird incentives. And I'm not trying to create like a like I know that you know this, because ByteDance is owned by is based in China, and ByteDance owns TikTok, and there's a national intelligence law that basically forces all Chinese companies to spy on and advance geopolitical interests of China. We should be worried about the stacking of hyper capitalism, predatory, cyber psychology preying, um, like business models, plus geopolitical incentives. That's what TikTok is. And it's it's really scary to me, especially as a Chinese American, because I don't think that we're not technologically smart enough to talk about this. We're not psychologically we don't talk enough about mental health in this country, and we don't talk about geopolitics of the country. And politicians are also extremely coward-like and red for now.
No, I mean, TikTok is definitely an issue, but this was going on before, TikTok. Like I just told you, I mean, I'm 25 years old now. I was sucked into the internet, being addicted to it way before ByteDance even existed, or way before I think China was even on the verge of trying to, put something like a TikTok out here. There is something that needs to be done with how we introduce our youth to this brain of the internet because it is very powerful and it can destroy you, and it can also make you extremely successful. It can do all sorts of things. It can take the human condition and amplify it times 10 million. Like it really does something very powerful. And I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I mean, I had computer class and they introduced me to Microsoft Word. They introduced me to all these different tools that I could use to become more productive and more efficient. And then now these days, I see like at Target, they sell like literally tablets designed for 5-year-olds, 4-year-olds that like you can drop them and they don't break. And I got the chance to go on my cousin's nephew or my cousin's son's tablet just to see what he's looking at, and he's just, like, looking at, like, people unbox, like, Iron Man Legos and, like, putting them together. Basically, like, instead of kids playing with toys these days, you just get them a tablet where they can watch people play with toys. And what does that do, like, to train their brain once they're, like, 13 and then they get on Instagram? Now you're trained to watch people live an amazing life, watch people go on nice boats, watch people travel around the world, and you just stay in your room and you watch all these other people doing all the things that you should be striving for in your life. And no one's going to stop you from doing that because your parents are doing the same thing. They're looking at, families in the community and what they're doing on Facebook, at the same time that you're looking at people play with toys. And like, there's something that needs to be done about how we introduce technology to people. And I think I was telling you about how I remember, being young, they had us do a pledge of allegiance to the flag, and we would pledge allegiance to our country and love our country and honor our country and do whatever we can for our country, and God's name. But, like, where is that for our own self? Where is that for our own experience? I wanna pledge allegiance to my own self, and I know that God is with me, and I want to have an experience that is filled with gratitude and love and stimulation and all these different things, and I think technology provides stimulation from a psychological standpoint, but it negates stimulation from all the other senses. You can't smell, you can't feel, you can't do all these things that you can do in the physical world. And we need to start just like introducing kids to this internet and to social media in a way that is more I don't know, just natural, less, just get whatever you want out of it. Get as much dopamine that you want out of it. See whatever you want out of it. And more like, let's, I don't know, approach it from a way of like, how can this better your life? What are the tools? What are the apps? What are the things that are truly enhancing your experience? And what are the things that are maybe making your experience on life harder? And let's figure out how to swell those down and reintroduce things that are of a better tier. Because this problem has been going on for so long, and this is our people have been addicted to television, which is essentially a two-way a one-way computer, or it's just feeding you graphics. Now you get to say, show me these graphics, but I mean, we gotta fix this, and it has to be with I think it starts internally with how you feel about yourself, and then your experience on how you are going to use the technology is going to be reflected in that. And I'm curious what your thoughts are on that approach.
Wow, brilliant, man. Um, and so true on the fact that is this happened this was an issue way before TikTok. And I it's interesting, like if I were trying to harm America's future and the future of the West, I would create a social media app. That's the funny thing, right? Like if that doesn't speak so much to the fact that like yes, even if TikTok is gone for some reason, we still have a lot of problems. And this is like well, you and I have talked about like, more broadly like TikTok's role, but I'm like, yes, you're so right. We need to defend our minds. We need to just like all the time because there's always going to be new digital native threats. That's what you're helping me understand. Digital native threats that are literally designed to capture us, capture our attention, capture our data. Woo! You just gave me like the whole burst of inspiration to like just think about after we end this call.
Yeah, man, they call it the, what is it these days? The psyops, the psychological opponents. Um, and yeah, man, I like to think if I had a kid today, what would I want for them? And then I start to apply that to myself. because I wouldn't want my kids spending all this time on TikTok. Like, let's go out and do things. I think parents have gotten lazy with this technology. They've fallen into the hole of technology in their way on Facebook or whatever, and so the kid just does the same thing. Parents need to start saying, "I want my kid to live a life full of great experiences, connecting with people in the flesh, connecting with nature, being as healthy and happy as they can be." So that requires the parents to put the phone down and to take the kid on an adventure. Take the kid out to nature and show them how to do that. And I had that growing up, but as technology, because I mean, so I was born in 1997, Gen Z, as everyone calls it or whatever. So as these things picked up, I saw my parents pick them up more. My mom started getting more and more addicted to Facebook, and I just started doing whatever my mom was doing. Or my dad was starting to use Facebook. So this was the cool place to hang out. My parents are hanging out here. I can't wait till I can get a Facebook when I'm 13. And now I'm just like, can't wait to be addicted to this social media. Like, this is crazy. And it's a lot of it, it's the duty of the parents to walk it like you talk it. If you don't want your kids on TikTok or on social media, how are you spending your time? Are you spending time on social media? Are you spending time looking at the news, which is basically old people's social media? Here's what's going on and all the social issues today. Let's watch. And like whatever. Like everyone has their own little version of what we call social media. And if we all agree that living in the physical world is superior, and this is the thing that is at threat here, we need to engage with that and we need to blossom that into the children's experiences. And
Well,
I like that's just how it goes. Like my dad was started getting, a little bit smarter with that, where he's like, let's go on a hike, let's go do things together. And that ingrains in me, okay, this is how I want to live my life. If my dad's like, I'm just gonna drink and smoke weed and watch sports all day, chances are that kid's gonna grow up and going to be either drinking or smoking weed or looking at screens all day, or a combination of them. Because we really do become like our parents, and because our DNA and all this stuff, it's just how it works. And so parents need to be reintroduced to this so the children can be reintroduced to this. Uh, and it's hard to make you don't want to take anyone's freedom. Like, you have to do this. You don't have to do this. But if you do want to live a healthier and happier life, I think there's enough data out now that some of this stuff that you're allowing yourself to do, which is also becoming a habit of your children because of you, it has a negative effect on your health and your happiness. And if you want to be healthier and happier, here is a new approach to do that. We need to discover what that is and figure out how to share that through uh like puppets, Sesame Street, through like all these different things need to be taught in very fun, engaging ways through characters that people listen to. And I hope that we figure it out. And if no one figures it out, it's gonna be people like me and you, Gary, that figure it out. And I'm inching my way there every day.
well, I think about the legacy that I want to have, and I know that you're the same. But maybe I'm just articulating this for you. Our legacy is to inspire people to take the future into their own hands. That's the kind of superpower both you and I have. We both love propaganda, but we also love positive propaganda, which is very rare. And this is probably the conversation of my year so far, like private or public. I think this has given me like a new perspective on things. Like, I've been thinking about, like, is there a missing institution that helps people protect what matters and protect our home, right? And, you know, who do I want to empower to protect what matters? Is it just Americans? No, it's not. And like, this is a hugely paradigm shifting conversation for me because the digital native threats that are, I mean, let's talk about why that is the greatest threat to us, digital native threats, because they're infinitely scalable, right? And they're like, you're constantly, you're training. How do we hijack? How do we hijack? How do we like just keep people just like glued to the screen, like helping our advertiser dollars? And it could be everywhere all at once. And it's not firing a bullet, right? And if I were a dictator, I would be going so ham on consumer products that are digital and trying to spread that everywhere. And the thing is like, I was like thinking now, like, I don't just care about Americans. Like part of why, and like, I believe two things can be true. If there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done on a per country basis, right? And people within a country are most motivated to defend their country relative to other countries. But at the same time, if there's common threats across country, right? Like Indians in India do not care about Republican versus Democrat, right? We can save our resolution of partisan warfare to America, right? We don't have to export that, right? So domestically, we have a responsibility to deal with that. But the threat of like TikTok, siphoning a bunch of data to the CCP, which is in like kind of a cold war with India and kind of a cold war with the US, why would we limit the amount of people that could get on the home front? And that's been a fun phrase for me, home front, because it has historically meant the civilians of a single nation. What if we remixed it and it was the citizens of the world? So let's table the rest of that like jam on a potential institution, but like very paradigm shifting. And a meta thought that I had, I guess advice for the audience is like spend more time with people that you deeply admire for their soul, who are actively thinking about how to make the world better. Your brain's going to be smarter for it. You're going to feel more inspired by it, like I am today with you.
Very sweet. No, we got this, man. It's all, like I said, gratitude, man. Especially when things like this get all heavy. I'm grateful for this experience, man. We're living in a time where we're connected to everyone. Here I am being friends with you. I never even met you in person. I've had dozens of hours probably
Oh,
in
that's true.
communication threads with you, all sorts of stuff. And I've never met you in person, which is cool. This wouldn't happen without the internet and technology. And uh, there was something that I was telling, or I was talking about when I had this episode about cyberpsychology, and basically my thought process was every single thing that you look at and every person that you look at develops a little flavor or a little feeling in your chest, in your body. You look at a bus, you feel a certain way. You look at a person, you feel a certain way. You look at the internet, you feel a certain way. You go on Wikipedia, you feel a certain way. You go on TikTok, you go a certain way. There's just these feelings that we have. So the internet is allowing us to connect with our internal experience and to figure out what are we feeling and what feels best for us. So it has opened up my ability to study everything and look at everything and be curious as far as I want to go and then choose what direction I want to live in and see how far I want to go within that. And it's a great database of all information. You can watch Harvard classes now for free. You can go to school to the biggest Ivy League thing or whatever you're into when it comes to developing your mind. You can get that resource for free now and watch it and get exposed to it. That's great. That is a win. That is a huge, like, I'm so grateful for that. I can now be a part of classes and get certificates at Harvard for $120 using things like edX.org. I'm trying to figure out how I can use my time online to feel good and also step away from it and feel like I have something to contribute to the world. Because what I've noticed is when I spend time on TikTok, I love it and it feels good, but when I leave it, I have nothing to contribute to the world from it. I don't have I just looked at 1,000 different videos. There were so many videos that I can't even name one thing to contribute to society now after spending all that time, as opposed to taking a class, spending that same amount of hours, and then stepping away from it and being close to a well-knowledge, almost expert individual and understanding a specific thing that now I can go into a library and talk to people. I can go to events that are around that topic and hold my weight and have my perspective on that. And so at the end of the day, what are you connecting your attention towards? And how is that affecting you when you're not being attentive to that? And so that's why I was talking about gratitude earlier, because I'm grateful for everything. I'm grateful for every experience. And so now I'm learning things from every person that I meet, everything that I see online, and I'm taking that with me and I'm being able to pollinate that and spread that to the world. And so it's a matter of learning and growing and putting yourself in a position where you can contribute and thus have society contribute back to you. Because you can be like many other people and you can just scroll through TikTok all day and have nothing to contribute to the world, but that you know some funny TikToks or some interesting TikToks, but that's it. Everyone knows that. That's not unique. That's not unique. The people that are unique now are the ones that are focusing on what makes them feel good and really zooming in on that, really immersing themselves in that. And then, like a sponge, able to squeeze all of that information out to everyone around them. And now you've just helped 5 or 6 people understand something. And so now you have 5 or 6 people helping you understand something as well. And now you're becoming a very smart individual. You're able to open up doors that weren't open to you because of your new understandings. Let's start having our lives be more focused on collecting information and sharing information and not just collecting entertainment because we're not able to share that entertainment back.
Entertainment. Dude, you're a fucking genius. That whole thing was so fire, man. Man, that reminds me. So, okay, let's do like a last question, like last like theme. So you are starting a podcast. It's gonna be called something like the SolarPunk Podcast. Um, love to understand why you're doing that and your vision for it.
Yeah, most definitely. So during the pandemic, I think we all had a really hard time. There was a lot of social issues, a lot of problems going on, a lot of people unable to eat. There's just so many problems, and I, for the first time in my life in 2020, decided to start looking at the problems and figuring out what the solutions were. And as I got further and further down that rabbit hole, I saw all these problems with our food. People don't have access to healthy food. People don't have access to all sorts of essential things that you need, and it's causing a lot of disruption in our experience in life. And going down the warp hole of all the solutions that are potential out there, I found this thing that changed my life, and it changed many lives of people that I've come to experience after it. It's called SolarPunk. SolarPunk is I want to say it's a lifestyle where you strive to harmonize your experience with nature and technology for the betterment of yourself and humanity. And SolarPunk is super cool. There's hundreds of thousands of people that are part of this community that are aiming to do what I just said. People are creating art that is representations of what a healthy, happy, harmonized world would look like. People are creating businesses that are little pieces of that healthy and happy world today with the premise of creating a solar punk looking world. So I asked for any of you, if you're interested, just check out solar punk. Just type it in on Google, solar punk. Go look at the images. Go read some articles about it because I was almost like, oh my God, there is no way that we're going to fix this. And Solarpunk somehow was able to package all of the potential solutions in one amazing culture, the Solarpunk culture. And I've kind of taken it on myself. I created this space in Los Angeles called Solarpunk Park where people can come get exposed to nature. We have 120 native plants there that you can come check out. You can get your hands dirty. You can check out some of the latest, coolest urban agriculture projects. You can come learn about technology. I'll sit there and talk to you about cyber psychology all day. But basically, I've been having so many people come through to this space. I was like, why don't I just make this a podcast? So I was like, okay, we make like a Solar Punks podcast, and we can focus on things when it comes to harmonizing ourselves with technology and nature. And so the first bits that I'm getting into are cyber psychology, what I've learned through cyber psychology, talking to the guy who coined the term cyber psychology. His name is John R. Suler, a professor of psychology at Rider University. Just connecting the dots of like, how can people see nature in a more healthy way and get back into it? How can people see technology in a more healthy way and get into that in a way that's actually producing good for your life and not sucking all of your time out of your life? Um, So that's kind of the premise of the podcast. I haven't released any episodes yet. I'm still getting familiar with hosting and what it's like to host a show. It is a skill, and I've been around musicians a lot in my life, and I find that you do just have to spend a lot of time recording yourself to even figure out what sounds good and what really clicks with the average, but also inspires everyone. And so I'm on that wave every day. I'm just recording a new podcast and hopping on new podcasts like this one and other ones just to get more familiar. But that will be coming out this year, doing a lot of cool SolarPunk IRL events as well. We're calling them eco techs. It's like a discotheque back in the 80s, but it's solar powered eco techs with all this cool renewable energy. People are using, solar panels to generate water out of thin air. People are creating systems where you can grow your own plant and don't have to touch it because it literally has some sort of amazing system that's extremely affordable that allows you to grow this plant with minimal effort. People that are saving bees and using that to make really cool beeswax candles that purify the air in your home. There's so many cool people that I get so excited to be able to talk to every day in the solar punk community. And now I just want to create a space where I can kind of host them and give them a space to share who they are, share how they're harmonizing the world, harmonizing themselves, harmonizing their relationship with technology and nature, and doing it in a creative, fun, entertaining way that is actually sexy. I think making nature cool hasn't been sexy yet. Everyone's using that green. Oh, we're green, we're eco-friendly, but they're not putting art into it. They're not putting creativity, they're not putting
Punk.
true effort. It's not punk. And so the new punk of today is to actually be optimistic and to actually think that you can change the world.
What's my line?
Uh, Optimism is the new punk.
Let's go.
I
I love you. I'm
love you
thinking the
too,
whole
dude.
time
Let's
you're
get this.
talking and this entire conversation, this guy's a genius, but more importantly, he's a good person, and that's
Oh,
that's why I'm just so excited that you helped me regenerate my podcast, which I was losing energy for. And part of how I don't lose energy is I hire an intern that cuts my interviews into clips and uploads it for me. Otherwise, I'm still probably not gonna do this much. But if I find someone, I will do this like all the time because I would love to chat with people like you and you again in the near future. So excited to just like learn and build alongside you. I really like the name Solar Punks. It's a great explanation that you just made, and I couldn't think of a better person that will grow into the host role over time.
oh, thank you, brother. Well, thank you for having me on. I'm super into leveling up America. I think that your ethos is so perfect, and America is just a great opportunity because this place is connected to the world at large. You can't. I mean, I've been to all sorts of countries, and this is the one country where you can find a little bit of every country tucked away in here. There's a little bit of everything here, and we need to take that seriously because at the end of the day, this is just a platform for us to inspire the world. This land of North America, of the United States, if we do good things here, it will spread. And if we do bad things here, it will spread as well. And we've seen that time and time again. And let's figure out how to spread good things. Let's spread optimism. Let's spread the punkness of actually being optimistic, not being divisive and choosing this is right and this is wrong, but just like I'm grateful for it all. Everything has its truths. We live in a day where multiple realities can coexist. And so we need to be welcoming to that. And you just have to travel to 2 or 3 different countries to realize that people just come from different perspectives. It doesn't mean that they're wrong because they have a different perspective from you. They just have been exposed to different things, and that's not wrong. That is just the life and human experience. And the more we can start developing gratitude for everyone and understanding that we all have different viewpoints, the closer we can find what makes us all common. And we all can share in gratitude. I went to Israel this past summer, and you have all these religions that are like not for each other and they don't really respect each other and they have all these different traditions, but they have a common thread between all of them. They all believe that heaven or the life after death is a loving experience and that it's a good experience and it's something to be grateful for and excited for. They all share in a lot of their commonalities. And so I want us to start just connecting with each other on what makes us alike and stop like focusing on what makes us different because that diversity is what makes the world so beautiful in the first place. So be a champion of diversity while also establishing, that root true love and freedom and gratitude that you have for the world. And I think you'll be able to not just level up America, but level up the world at large.
Let's go. Can't better than that. Appreciate you, JRapp. Thank you for doing what you're doing, and hopefully bring you on soon again.
All right, my brother. We'll chat soon. All right.
And
Peace.
Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed that video, you got value out of it, please give this video a like, hit that subscribe button, click that notification bell so we can get this in front of more awesome people like yourself.